Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to another Island City Hockey Postgame Live. Wow, being able to do dance party back-to-back games is fantastic. Scoring 6+ goals back-to-back games is fantastic. Couldn't really ask for too much more than what the Kraken were able to give us in this one. Great follow-up performance, first game back home after the road trip, first game in Seattle at a normal time, first game that it really felt like the home opener in this one, just because it's not the ESPN game 1:30 on a Tuesday, all that kind of stuff going on. This was kind of like a proper start for the Kraken at home, and they came out and they gave us a really good show. A lot of goals, did a great job of battling through the momentum swings in this game. That's, I think, ultimately what I'm most impressed with. Yeah, they finished their chances. They beat up on a goalie who was having a rough night, all of that kind of good stuff. But I think the big thing from this one is that they hung in there. They were able to get this done. Flyers tried to mount some comebacks. Kraken were always able to answer and, kind of weather that storm and get the W and the 2 points tonight. I really think that that's a big deal for this group and from what we've really been seeing from them. So I'm really, really happy about this one for sure. And I'm sure everybody is. It seems like everybody is in here. So also want to thank everybody for giving me a sec to get going. I wanted to wait for all the music and stuff to die down in here before I started up the post game because I know audio issues were a little bit of a thing in the last one. So thanks everybody for bearing with the slight delay start there. Going to kick us off with the super chats here. First one from Light. All the people who talked mad trash at Evs when he got extended can apologize right now. That C unlocked his pre-draft hype and he's playing like a star player. He is. I mean, he is leading this team in more ways than one, right? Obviously, he's got the C on his chest now, but he is scoring at an unprecedented clip for his Kraken career, for any Kraken, really. What he's doing right now is just, I mean, it's fantastic. It's been so much fun to watch. Feel super happy for him, happy for the group, and just the success that's going on, and just the way he's scoring goals, too. Another one tonight, right? Just kind of going to the net, putting himself in that goal scorer spot, getting the goal. It's a greasy goal. Like, it's just, he is so much fun to watch right now. And you can tell that he's just having fun too, right? As he's going down the line, getting the fist bumps from everybody. You can tell that he's feeling it. You can tell that line's feeling it. They had a fantastic night in this one. Just a ton of goals from them, ton of production from all three members of that line. Kind of nice to see, Shane wake up a little bit as part of that group, but obviously, what Evs has been doing has been fantastic. As you've pointed out, Coop there at the Shane Wright breakout performance alert. I mean, that is the other thing that we've been talking about, right? Shane Wright, great game. I mean, he's been playing well all along, and this was just the time where it finally gets on the scoreboard, finally gets those chances to go in for him. But he's been putting in the work. He's been playing really well. We talked about this last time, right? Like it's just a matter of time for Shane right there, and I'm happy for him. Happy he got the score. Gets the assist, gets the goal soon after, gets that in front of the home crowd. Place went nuts for it. You can just tell he's feeling it right now, and it's been a great start to the season for him, and thankfully now it's showing up on the scoreboard for him as well. Next one there from Coop. I've always stopped getting into fights while winning, please. That's yeah, I would agree with that. I think, look, this was a game where emotions started to run a little high. There was some stuff going on, right? Like Grew and Hathaway, they had their kind of back and forth there. There was a time where Hathaway went to the penalty box for his first one, and Grew actually came out and said some stuff to him when he was on his way to the penalty box. And RJ and I were looking at each other like, we've never seen a goaltender do that before. This was after the whole stick on the glove, the wax from Grew, and it was just kind of like one of those like, what's going on there? I don't think I've ever seen anything like that before. But so there was a little bit of that animosity, and it was kind of building throughout the game. Flyers are the Flyers, right? They have a history of playing a certain way, and I think Yanni and Mountour in that moment kind of got caught up in it. I'm not a fan of Mountour coming in from so far away and kind of joining that. I understood why he got that additional roughing penalty that gave the Flyers the power play. Yanni did what he had to do. I mean, it's we're not huge fans of fighting in general, right? I think it has a place in hockey. I don't know that it was needed there per se, and to be honest, it wasn't a great fight either, as it kind of just petered out and died there. But I'm with you there, Coop. Got one here from Michael. Let me go see if there's a chat message with that one from Michael. Finally got to join in on a live feed. Congrats. Thanks for joining, Michael. Really appreciate that, and I appreciate the chat there. But I know if it will get broken down, but if not for that post-scruff goal flurry, the Kraken played damn near perfect defensive game after the first. They did. They had a really solid performance there. They locked it down. Like I said, they kind of beat the momentum swing, and then once they had momentum, they didn't let it go through that second period. And I think that was really impressive. That's something that they've struggled with throughout the season so far. But the consistency, it's building, right? They're getting more comfortable in that spot, just into the feeling, all that kind of good stuff. The two goals that happen after that, you have the one that beats Grew. It beats Grew clean. The first one, the third goal for the Flyers. You want him to have it. Obviously, you want your goalie to have it. He can see it the whole way. He's square to the shot. So, in general, you kind of want him to have it. It was a great shot, though. Like, I will give that to the Flyers scored it. The second one, the power play goal that Drysdale scores late in this one kind of makes it a close game before the Kraken respond. Again, Flyers start building momentum. You get that Bjorkstrand breakaway goal, and it kind of ends it for the Flyers, which, again, super important. Super happy that we got to see something like that. I just think that's huge for this group. But going back to the Drysdale goal, Drew has so many bodies between him. There's three people between him and Drysdale in that situation. So the idea that he could realistically see that shot, not only that, he was trying to peek around the traffic. He's leaning the other way from the direction the shot comes. But I'm with you. Like it was a great defensive hockey game from this group. This was a big effort from them in the defensive zone, and I feel like that showed up on the scoreboard in a big way for them, right? Next, of course, and I'm ready for you, Gregory, here at CPA. I'm ready for you with the Lemon Lime Gatorade time, baby. 6 different goal scorers tonight, 13 goals in the last 2 games, Grew with the clutch saves. Yes, I mean, the goal scoring flurry that they're on right now is fantastic. And I kind of mentioned it earlier, and I don't want to pour like cold water or, in this case, lukewarm Gatorade on the issue. But, Nashville having their struggles, especially Saros and net having his struggles. This one, Flyers having their own struggles in net, right? That's going to happen. You're going to be up against struggling goaltenders, and this is the response that you want to have to those moments. This is what you want to do in those moments, is you want to go out there and you want to score as many goals as you can. You want to load up the scoreboard. This is the game where you hit all your performance bonuses for the year, right? These types of games, and the Kraken are doing that. We'll see if it gets more consistent for them in games that are closer, games where they're playing against better goaltenders, all that kind of stuff. But it's a big deal that this year they're able to kind of have these 2 games back to back where they're facing struggling teams that are trying to find their identity in Nashville's case. The Flyers, they kind of have their identity. They're just not that great defensively, and you're able to take advantage of that, and you're able to make the goals happen. I think the third period, the goals that the Kraken scored in this one were really impressive because they were so many of the plays that they've been working on all through training camp and trying to get down and trying to build that consistency with the chemistry and all of that kind of stuff. So to see them be able to pass like that in the offensive zone, really jump on the Flyers there, just piling on, really. It's not even that they jumped on them. That was back in the second period. But just that they were able to kind of pile on there, making those plays happen. I think that was really important. Actually, it was at the end of the second period, excuse me. The 2 goals that were scored 8 seconds apart, that was huge. Was just kind of seeing it all click. All the stuff that they've been working for and working towards for the last month and a half, kind of seeing it all come together there in those moments was huge. And I appreciate, as always, Gregory, the Gatorade, especially here at Climate Pledge Arena. Sean with the super chat. Appreciate all the super chats, everybody. And I'll try to be quicker answering everything here. We got a Monty bomb goal. That undisciplined stuff from the Yanni fight was definitely not necessary, and Monty was not cool and almost cost the team. The goal from Monty was fantastic. I'm spacing on the Flyers goaltender who started this game, but we had a conversation up on the press bridge actually about how um, about how you know he the Flyers goalie was 6'7", something like that, right? He's absolutely huge, and seemed like then the 5 hole was a little bit of an issue with the tall goaltender. You got to really have good stick play if you're going to be in that spot, just because it is that extra little bit more that you have to, space that has to be closed when you drop down into butterfly. And on that Monty goal, they were able to he was able to just power one past him there. It was fantastic to see that. Great first goal. I loved it too because there was a whole chain of passing off that puck because it was Mountour's first Kraken goal. Then eventually gets over to Stuckey, and Stuckey takes it away so that it can be go and given to Mountour. But it wasn't immediate that anybody kind of grabbed it. It was actually the refs that kind of and the linesmen that kind of recognized what was going on there, and they took it over. And so that was kind of something that was unique to see just in the building. I'd never seen something like that before. I'm with you though. The fight from Yanni, we already talked about it. Not super necessary. I already said it. The Monty thing did not need to happen. There's cards are already in there. They're doing their thing. Yanni's doing his thing. This is who Yanni is. You don't necessarily need to go to his aid in a situation like that. He's more or less fine, right? So I'm with you. There was no reason to give the Flyers a power play out of all of that. There just really wasn't, and they're able to score, pull within one. Again, great job answering it. If you're the Kraken, you get the Bjorkstrand and breakaway goal. That is huge. That's a big question answered for this group. But you didn't need to be in that situation in the first place. And it kind of had echoes of that St. Louis game. It was just, we got the different result in this one. They learned their lesson from that St. Louis game. They were not killed by the momentum swing this time. They were able to fight it back, get it back, and then go and collect the 2 points and get the W. So I like that aspect of it, but I don't like that in the 2 home games we've seen from them this year, there's been a situation like that where you have allowed the other team to get back into it with undisciplined play. Light with another one here. Thank you very much, Light. Also, the fact that Dunn, Riker, and Monty all scoring is going to make the Kraken a very scary team to face. Yes. So, I mean, the depth that they have, we talked about the forward depth a lot. Don't talk a ton about the defensive depth. Defensive depth is totally there for them. I thought this was a better game than like what we saw in the Dallas game, where Vince Dunn is in and out of the lineup, and this one doesn't play in the third period for the Kraken. At least I don't think he did. And Riker's able to step up, play those minutes. Looked a little hit or miss at times in the Dallas game. Did not look hit or miss tonight in that spot. Enters that, handles it well, plays well on the power play, does all the stuff he needs to do. So, like seeing that from Riker. Just them being able to have that depth, especially with offensive defensemen, guys that are good puck movers, and they're all really solid two-way players, right? It's kind of selling them short just to call them offensive defensemen, but they all play a really solid two-way game. But that depth for the Kraken it's pretty hard to find other teams around the league that kind of have something similar to what they do in that regard. Dave with the super chat here. Thank you very much, Dave. And thanks for the one you added after the post game live last time, by the way. Saw that come through. Want to say thanks for that one. Don't forget to like the stream because RJ and Dylan are the best. Thank you very much for that. And then Riley, is Maddie okay? Great win. Would love to see him heat up. I believe Maddie's fine. Was there something I missed? Am I totally spacing on something that happened to Maddie there? I mean, I thought he played a pretty good game through this one. Pretty solid. Let me see if his ice time looked weird. No, I mean, 18-21 was he second on the team in ice time amongst the forwards anyway. Love that from him. I thought he's continuing to play his kind of game, right? The Shane Wright line with Eberle and McCann, that is your main scoring line right now. They are on fire. They're playing well. And to be honest, that you've really loaded up that line with your best offensive players at this point, right? Maddie is taking on more of a defensive role, secondary role. I think it just kind of fits his game naturally, right? He made some really great defensive plays. He's making so many cool plays in the defensive zone. There's one where he just comes up and he just makes Michkov look like a rookie. The way he comes up, he poke checks it away from him, then pushes it and goes around him to collect the puck, and then moves it up out of the zone. This is all in the defensive zone. And Michkov is just like, what's going on? What's happening here? So I think Maddie is playing his game. The offense is, I think, just going to be kind of hit or miss for him, right? And this has kind of been the story of him going all the way back to his draft year. He is a rock-solid defensive player. He's turned into one of the best defensive centers in the NHL. The offense, it's going to be there. At times, it might be a little lineup dependent, and right now, you've got those other two lines. You've got the Stevenson line able to produce. You've definitely got the Shane Wright line producing. I think you're just going to kind of see them ride that and have Maddie play defense, shut down the other team's top players, all that kind of stuff. And I think that's fine. Kraken fan, these high scoring games can end never. Yes, I would be okay with that. And look, Kraken want to be a skating team. This is clearly the game that they want to play. Every chance they get to dictate the pace of play this season, we have seen them dictate this pace of play, and this is the game that they want to play. Little back and forth. They want to be a team that outskates you. I'm kind of feeling okay with that. Again, I want to see it against maybe some better goaltenders, get a larger sample size there, but it feels like more or less the defense is kind of up to snuff to play that game, able to contribute offensively, handle things coming back defensively. As long as the D can hold up to that and your goaltenders can hold up to that, I don't see why this would change. Like, I'm just saying, I don't think it will. Dave with another one. Thank you very much, Dave. How rad was it to have Linda Cohn during the pregame and the intermissions? Did you get a chance to meet her, Dylan? I did not get a chance to meet her. They are still doing their post-game show, like right over there, though. So it's still working. Maybe I'll get a chance on the way out of the arena a little bit later on. But yes, super cool. I hope the broadcast was cool. Obviously, not able to watch it being here in the building, but I hope it went well, and I'm sure it did. I'm sure it kicked butt. Like that is such a fantastic get for the Kraken Hockey Network. Really excited for those games. The rest of this season. All right, jumping over into chat here. Thanks, everybody, for the super chats. Keeping me busy for almost 20 minutes here. Shane Wright, love that. Goals are fun. They are fun. Cody, 2 dance parties in a row. I'll take it. I will as well. And then Zoe, what happened with Dunn? Don't know exactly what happened with Dunn. He went down. I think RJ tweeted a video on the ECH Twitter, Emerald City HKY. It didn't look too bad to me, the way he goes down. Just kind of goes down a little bit awkward. It's not along the boards. Not hit necessarily too hard. We know he was dealing with something, missed that Dallas game, comes back for that Nashville game. You know, I would say, like, we can wait and hear when RJ joins us in a little bit. If Dan says anything, we all know the routine. He's not going to say anything. Tomorrow, if they do a practice, I don't know if they're going to or not because they won today. And this is kind of going to be our first time to know if that's going to be the thing under Dan. We'll find out, maybe. But as of right now, unfortunately, do not know, other than he was able to come back out there on the bench. He just did not play that third period. So that is a good sign. That is a good sign, I think. Dexter had the Kraken -1.5. That was stressful. Oh, I am sure, Dexter. I'm sure you were very not thrilled with that whole situation towards the end there with the undisciplined play leading to the power play for the Flyers. I'm sure that was killing you, Dexter. Nicole, this team is fun again. They are fun again, Nicole. They are so much fun. I'm loving what this team is putting together at this moment. And again, we talked about this in the Minnesota game, right? First win of the season. And we talked about that back and forth nature. Yeah, it's going to lead to these high-scoring games. You're not going to win them all, right? Like, that's just going to be tough to do. But even if you lose some of these games that are going to be high-scoring back-and-forth affairs, they're still going to be fun to watch. It's going to be watchable hockey. It's going to be something that you can take a friend who's never seen hockey before, stick them in front of the TV and go, hey, check this out. Or take them into the building here at Climate Pledge Arena, right? And say, hey, check this out. And it's going to be an experience for them. And there wasn't a lot of that last year from this team, so glad to have games like that on the books already for them. Grubauer goal support since today, apparently. That is on the menu now for Grubauer, is goal support, as he picks up 6 goals in this one. So really happy about that. Hopefully that is a trend that continues for him. I think we can all get on board with that one. Love all the dancing emojis and everything from everybody here. Let's see. Second straight 6-goal game for the Kraken from Micah. I know, it's absolutely fantastical. It's just so fantastical. What am I saying? It's because I'm trying to reach out and go here. Stradek, what's your favorite goal? I loved the Shane goal is huge just because 8 seconds. we think it's the fastest 2 goals in Kraken history, that 8 seconds. We know prior to last season, the record was 10 seconds. I don't recall a time last season in which they scored 2 goals in less than 10 seconds. So I'm going with that. It's the 8-second goals that we saw tonight. I loved it. I loved that Shane goal. It really woke the building up. But I do think the Everly goal was a little bit better, and my favorite, just because of, again, the way he scored it. It's just, that's been his name in the game this season. That's been what the Kraken want to do. He is leading the charge with the style of play that the Kraken want to have. I just think that's fantastic, and it's exactly the kind of goal that we did not see from this group last season, and the kind of goal that they really needed last season. So I'm loving that. For me, that for me. Let's see, Lindsay, think you're a Shane. I don't have to sweat as much those final few minutes. I've already said it multiple times, so I won't totally get into it again. But that was really incredible. I really liked it. Alex, in honor of Gru's goal support, this stream is brought to you by our sponsor, the Steel Beam behind Dylan. Yes, I know it's not the coolest background here in CPA, but this is the place I can do it. This is the best place I can find that I don't have to worry about disrupting other people trying to work, and it's relatively quiet. Hopefully the audio is all right and you're able to hear me okay, and it's well lit and all that kind of stuff. So it's, but I like my steel beam here. That's a good beam. Zach, well, he made some great stops. Drew Bauer really seems like he's struggling. Yeah, I know it's one of those things where he made the saves he needed to make in this one. He made some big saves, especially early on in the first period. Things could have gotten really ugly, right? He's able to make that save on that second wraparound chance that the Flyers went to have. Just, they score on the first one. You don't want to give up that second one. He makes a great save there. There's that time where Travis Konechny cuts to the middle, cuts across the crease. Drew Bauer, again, able to make a toe save there. That was absolutely huge for this team. He was able to make big saves like that. But then there's the ones where, the second Flyers goal, he couldn't have played it better, but it's like a really good shot that just kind of sneaks into that one exposed corner. I don't know what you want him to do there, really. So it's kind of like, all right, it's just a good play by the other team. You give him a pass. The big one is that third Flyers goal where it's just, he is square to it. He sees the shooter. Shooter's even got a little bit of distance, and he still got picked apart. You like to have a save there. Otherwise, I feel like he made the saves necessary in this one, as you said, Zach. Edward, how many of these goals were net front? Seemed like a lot of them. It did seem like a lot of them. It's a little bit harder for me to remember them all, just seeing them live, not being able to get the full replays and everything from them. So forgive me if I don't give you an exact number, Edward, here as I'm thinking about them. But, I mean, certainly the Ebbs and Shane Wright one are pretty net front. I think as long as the Kraken are able to get one or two of those a game and have to force defenses to play back a little bit and stay honest and all of that kind of stuff, I feel like they're going to be in good shape, and I feel like they're going to be able to get a lot of wins this season, or at least add on some goals and keep games close, because that's really what they struggled with last year. They were just not able to get any goals net front, and that was obviously a huge problem for them. Let's see. David, no super chat here. Thanks, Dave. Sign Ty. Sign him now, please. He has so much heart. He does. We'll see what kind of year he has, and then we'll see what kind of extension he gets from it and all of that kind of stuff. But he's a fantastic player, and I would love for him to be a member of the Kraken for a long time, and I have a feeling he will be. I have a feeling he will be. Hadrian, 2 Yorkshire goals in 2 games. It's a dream come true. # my maestro. Oh, I love that. And I love seeing Bjorkstrand scoring. I mean, he's just so fun, and emotion on his face when he scores, all that kind of stuff. It's so fantastic. Rebecca, return of the season 2. I mean, is 5 games enough? Like, can we say that after 5 games? I still think it's a little bit different even than how they got things done in season 2. Just because I feel like this team actually wants to be playing back and forth. That team kind of got roped into it and didn't always look comfortable, and like that was the plan. This feels like the plan, right? From the coaching staff on down. But yes, I mean, it's certainly trending in that direction, and I'm really happy about it. The shooting percentage looks healthy right now for this team. Again, I would caution, without trying to pour cold water and everything on everybody, I would caution that you've had some bad goaltending performances in these last 2 games, and the Kraken have taken advantage of that. But again, they weren't able to last year, so it's still a very positive step in the right direction for them. Usually makes Riker Evans went crazy in this one. He did. I mean, he's like every single game he's been stepping up. I feel like a lot of the defense has, right? We've talked in the past about Mountour and Alexiak and how they've kind of grown. Their chemistry has gotten better game after game. I feel like Riker Evans, we've talked about this. He's had some mistakes on the road trip, but he's really starting to elevate his game as he, like I said earlier, he had to fill in for Dunn for a while in this one and all that kind of stuff. Andrew with the super chat. Appreciate broadcasting from the arena. Thank you. I have so many questions about this game. Exhausted for that. Let's just celebrate this beautiful Kraken game. Ooh, interesting, Andrew. Questions, but yes, it's definitely one to celebrate and one to just enjoy and have a good time. And I hope everybody who was at this game outside still having a good time, partying, all that good stuff. Because this has been a lot of fun so far this season. Things are just so much better than last year. Riley, I'm liking the Stevenson edition, but anyone else feel like he's skating like he just hit long halftime beer league strides until he has the puck on his stick? So he does that a little bit, Riley. Now it's not necessarily always a bad thing because he's reading what's going on. He's reading what's going on out there on the ice, and then he uses that information to go and put himself in good spots. So, he's not one that I would necessarily. I'm comfortable calling out his effort level or anything because I see what he's doing and the style of game that he plays. I think, we've talked in the past about the production and all that kind of stuff. I don't think that has to do with the way he plays it, but I could see why it looks a little bit different, especially in this kind of back and forth style that the Kraken are playing right now, and the way some other lines like the Yanni Gord line has been playing. I could see why it would look a lot different. It is just because he's trying to read the play and then put himself in good spots and kind of, conserve some of that energy for those moments. David, I like Spicy Grubauer, to be honest. That was wild. Like, again, like I've never seen. I mean, we've seen Gru get like upset if somebody's in his crease or whatever, but he takes the big 2 hacks there and then to still be talking to Hathaway later on in that period. That was just something that I've never really seen from him before. It was very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Michael, did anybody see the issue with Dunn tonight? Again, posted it on Twitter. He goes down, he gets an open ice hit-ish. Like, there's physical contact. They both kind of lean into each other. Dunn goes down. Kind of goes down on his butt. Looks like he sits down almost and then kind of rolls a little bit. So I don't know exactly what happened there. He was able to be on the bench. Wasn't on the bench to finish the first period. Then he comes out in the second and plays a little, and then doesn't play in the third. I see Scott asking maybe it was just in the doghouse or if it's an injury situation. I would bet it's an injury situation, but again, I don't think we'll be getting any update on that tonight whenever RJ joins us, unfortunately. Let's see. Crew was justified in whacking that guy, and he didn't get a penalty for it either, so it's all good in my books. That one was so. I get he did it. I will say this from the specific angle that we had in the press bridge. Drew catches it. It's in his mitt. He leaves his mitt like on the ice, basically like this, and he leaves it open with the puck just sitting there. So I see why Hathaway is like, well, the puck's visible, it's playable, and so he goes and he just kind of tries to poke it out of there. And I get why Guru takes exception to that. No goaltender wants to be poked at like that. We know this. But I also see what Hathaway was doing there. I don't really know why Gru was just kind of – it literally looked like he was presenting it to him from the angle we were sitting at. And we were just kind of like, what's he doing? Like, because the ref was on the other side. So the ref doesn't blow it dead that fast because the ref doesn't really know. Like, it was just a weird situation. So I can see why Hathaway did it. I don't think it was malicious. Like, sometimes you see it where they're really like hacking away and they're using it as an opportunity to try to get at the goaltender. I don't think that's what was happening here just because of the way the puck was sitting and so visible and potentially playable. But I also don't have a problem with Gru defending himself either and getting a little testy, especially if he's not going to take the penalty. So I'm fine. I'm fine with that. Daniel, this was the only game that started at 7 o'clock Pacific tonight. Maybe we'll get a little bump from the hockey bigwigs. That would be really nice. That would be really nice. And yes, it was a long day of hockey. I'm hoping that they didn't all just watch all the big games at 4 and then just kind of check out for the one lone late game. But it would be nice if they watched this one because it was a fun hockey game. I'm sure some of them did because the Flyers were involved. It was a big statement win for the Kraken. See them be able to fight back from the momentum swings, all of that kind of stuff. It's really good. Maddie and Pablo both talked about how we're up there in the standings right now. Maddie's mentioning we're third in the Pacific. It's not bad. I agree, Maddie and Pablo. We're tied with Vegas for second place. It's a lot. I mean, there's just a lot going right now for this group. Aaron, things are clicking for this group. Clean up some defense, and things are going to be good in Krakenland. I think it's going to be tough to clean up everything defensively if you want to play a track meet back and forth style, right? Like at some point, there's always going to be defensive breakdowns in that because at some point you're always going to get burned going back the other way. If you're really trying to force the issue and play this back and forth style, there is going to be some issues on your end. You're going to have defensive breakdowns. There's going to be times where you get caught with a defenseman pinching or somebody's momentum's taking him in the wrong direction as an odd man opportunity goes the other way. As long as you limit those, though, as long as you limit those and as long as you're prepared for those and you're also willing to accept that, hey, maybe once or twice in this game, we're going to allow a really grade A chance to the other team. But as long as we're generating 3, 4, 5 of them ourselves, over the course of an 82-game sample size, we're going to come out ahead more often than not. And I think that's where the Kraken are at right now, is they trust their defensemen in those spots. They know that there's going to be breakdowns sometimes. So, just know to expect that, everybody, that there will be at times breakdowns. But as long as the Kraken are generating more of the chances, when you're talking about, high percentage looks, they're going to come out ahead. Daniel Enzo was trying his best to jinx this one in the third. Interesting. Scott, this is the first game I've watched on King 5. Is that it for Root Sports and the Kraken? Yes. No longer with Roots. They're going to be on King, going to be on Kong. They are streaming now on Amazon Prime. If you're a Prime member, you can watch them. But that is the way it is. Jenna, I wonder if it's the same injury that he re-injured. Speaking about Vince Dunn, did anybody else notice that as soon as he was off the ice, the energy shifted? We played so much different with Dunn in the lineup. I did notice that, Jenna. That's why I think the third period and the Bjorkstrand response was a big deal, because that was like the first glimpse of them really playing that same style and having that juice, as Dan always wants to call it, with Dunn, sitting on the bench for that. So I liked that in the third period there from the Kraken, but I did notice that as well, Jenna. As I know you point out, every postgame that Dunn is missing or is injured in, and you're right every time. Let's see, Daniel Shane had a chance to get the first Gordy out Hattie tonight. Should have went for it. Yanni had the opportunity, got the fight in there, so we'll see. Let's see. All right, I'll give RJ a sec there to take a step back, but we are good to go with RJ. RJ, how's it going? I know it was pretty good through most things. I got to imagine the locker room was also feeling it.
Yeah, definitely the locker room was feeling it. And you can see the confidence in everybody already, and especially the way that they're scoring, right? In all these different ways, that they're finding different ways to win games too. That was the big theme from the players and from Dan, is that we're finding different ways to win games this season, right? Coming back, defending leads, and then also that they're scoring in different ways and they're getting contributions from everybody. It really does feel a lot like year 2 in that respect, and you can see the confidence coming from everyone, and also just kind of keeping things light as well. My favorite part is all the different angles of, and I don't know if Stratic has asked what our favorite goal is yet.
And I have answered, so feel free.
Okay. Was it the Jordan Everly goal?
It was.
Okay. Well, I'll pick a different one.
I talked about the Shane one, though, so. Also.
Okay, I'll pick a different one later, but I do want to talk about the Everly goal because of what the players were saying about it. The quick up and then moving it across. Dan Bilesma really kind of broke down the play and talked about how huge that was. You have Yanni Gord who moves it across to McCann to Everly. Before that was Riker Evans getting the puck up really quick there. And also, he pointed out, Riker was a +5 in this game, which is really impressive. But on that play, it gets down to that 2-on-1 essentially, right, where you have McCann and Everly. And McCann was saying that he thought about shooting, but Everly has been chirping him a lot recently because he says, apparently, I never pass him the puck. So he passed it to him there. So I thought that was a nice little thing. And then Dan said from the bench, he was yelling at Canner to shoot it. He's like, I'm sure I was screaming, shoot that puck, but admitted eventually that, yeah, okay, passing was probably the right move. But I just thought the different angles of that from the coach, the players, it was kind of fun.
No, that is a lot of fun, and I'm happy to hear them, just talk about it in that way. It's clear that they're enjoying things. There was, not a lot of that kind of energy and joy from everything last year. So it's just nice to hear that that's what's going on in the locker room here as they are figuring things out.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, sorry it took so late to join. It took a while for us to get Dan. The plus side, though, is I did get to stay for the Torts scrum, so that was interesting. I was prepared to miss a little bit of Dan if it meant seeing a Torts scrum. I'm like, you know what? How many more chances are we going to have to do this potentially? So I did that. Nothing super interesting or exciting from that, unfortunately, but you always got to see to make sure. I guess the biggest takeaway from that one, too, was that he felt that the Flyers said, we had him. I really felt like we had him when it was 4-5, right? When they had scored that Drysdale goal and they were pressing, and he called it a learning moment, but was, I think, a little disappointed in Drysdale for that pinch there on the Bjorkstrand goal to make it 4-6, because he just felt like the Flyers kind of had the Kraken on the ropes there. And so it was interesting hearing from the coach, feeling like they had all the momentum at that point, and that kind of gave it away. On Fedotov, he was asked about him, and he said, I'm not going to talk about Feddy tonight. Just not going to do it. So I think that kind of says it all.
Yeah, I was going to say, Edward, I just switched over because we got some super chats here, but I know Edward brought up, looked like an NBA player put on goalie pads.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's huge, but it was a rough game for him. I think he struggled with shots down low, struggled to contain rebounds, and that's why my actual favorite goal was the Tolvanen goal. That's the one I would have gone into this with saying is my favorite, because he just flubs the rebound, but you know what? Tolvanen is in the exact right spot to pick that up and put it in the net. That's about guys going to the right areas. Dan Bilesma highlighted that one as well as an example of guys going to the front of the net, and that's where you're going to get goals from. So that really is my favorite, because I think that kind of thing you can replicate with other goalies, right? Maybe you want to have that rebound, but a lot of times pucks are going to get through, they're going to land in that area, and you can benefit from the chaos there.
I audibly reacted to that situation. I don't know if you heard me, RJ.
I
don't do that really often unless it's to be like, oh, there it is, or something like that. Yeah. But I literally, when that rebound happened, I went, oh, like
I remember.
I was like, that's not something you normally see at the NHL level, as a rebound just spat out like that. So yes, that was an interesting one.
I will say real quick, I do slightly worry a little bit just how much of the Kraken's offensive production is coming from bad goaltending. But again, on the one like that, you are doing the things to go to the right areas.
I talked about that a little bit earlier, and the bottom line is, look, they're doing what they should do when they're faced with that situation, right? It's not their fault that the goaltenders have been a little questionable these last two games. If they are, though, you better pile up the stats, right? You better run up the scoreboard, and look, it's building confidence for them. It's something we didn't see from them last year, so it still feels like a positive for this group. A couple super chats here to catch up on. First one from Chuck. I have a Shane Bell app, like from Game of Thrones. After Shane scores, you shake your phone for the bell sound and then chant Shane, Shane, Shane. I love that, Chuck. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually. That should be something that catches on. Do you imagine like all a CPA, RJ, doing that?
That would be
so
that
cool.
would be pretty fun. That kind of became a thing. Although maybe a little bit of the shame there for Shane, because he had the fish eat. I don't know if the broadcast caught that.
I saw that.
Yeah, he did fail to get it over the first time. He, kind of joked about it afterward. And Jen, actually, our photographer, got a perfect shot of Shane reacting to it as well. I don't know if it's up yet, but is it up yet?
Yeah, it's up.
Okay, it's up. So go check that out on the Instagram, because it's the perfect shot. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Dave with the super chat. Excited to have you on here, RJ. Love that from Dave. And then Michael asking with another super chat here, who got the belt?
I don't know. I forgot to look. That's my fault. I got to get in mid-season form quick here. I forgot to check.
Like one job, RJ.
I know. I was just thinking about the Torts scrum too much.
I was gonna say, and that job is to handle the post-game social media stuff, the player scrum, the coaching scrum, and to find out who had the belt.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
one job.
Yeah.
This one is interesting. I am curious alongside Michael, because this feels like a game in which you could very reasonably say a lot of players, right? Last couple games we talked, it seemed like kind of like last game, right? Oh, Turbo probably in that conversation there. Like, you know, a lot of people kind of veering that way. This one, I mean, you could go Ebbs, you could go Jared McCann had a fantastic game. Shane Wright had a really good game. There's a lot of direction. Riker Evans, good game. Like,
I was going to say, if he'd be my choice, if I had to bet on someone getting the belt, I think it would be Riker Evans, with the +5 game and just contributed a lot offensively. And he's someone that I can certainly recognize. The players certainly recognized, and I feel like you got to give it to him. He's not going to be +5 every game. You know, he's probably not going to get as many opportunities to have a game like this. So, you know, just I think you got to give it to him now. Also, sorry to disappoint anybody in chat with this too, because the question about Riker Evans that Bilesma did get referenced something like, I don't know how much stock you put into +/-, but he was a +5, you know, talk about Riker's game. And Dan said, oh, I put a lot of stock into +/. You know, it says, you know, you were on the ice more than the other, for more goals than the other team. So sorry for anyone who's disappointed in that answer.
I mean, that surprises me a little bit. Although I guess maybe around the framing of the question, you don't want to be like, oh yes, it's meaningless, and this great thing that this young developing player looking for confidence at the NHL did, it means nothing. So maybe you just looking out for your guy there a little bit.
I think that's more what it was.
It makes sense. Andrew here with the next one. Given our roster limitations, is it realistic to maintain this level throughout the season? Also, congrats, what a game, and thanks for hosting, guys. You're very welcome, Andrew. But I mean, I understand where that question is coming from, RJ.
Right. And I think you look at the bigger picture, right? I mean, this is unprecedented goal scoring output to start a season for the team. They're not going to score 6 every night. We know that. We know they have the cap situation. They're going to have to probably do something about the fourth line. Those are areas that might change. But I think you look at the big picture with this, and maybe the Kraken are going to struggle against some better teams, against some of those top teams in the league. I still haven't seen enough to show that they can beat those teams consistently. But you know what? You don't have to do that to get into the playoffs. This is a league where half the teams make the playoffs. What you need to do is win the games you're supposed to win, and that's what they've been doing so far.
Yeah, no, they absolutely have been, and hopefully they keep it up. Two things that I want your opinion on that I've just gotten a lot of throughout chat here, RJ. The first one is Vince Dunn. We're all assuming no news, right?
Yeah, Bilesma actually gave us more than I thought. It wasn't much, but more than I feel like Hackstall maybe would have. So he said that he is a little banged up. I mean, I think that much is obvious. But he did say that sitting him in the third period was more precautionary than anything.
Okay. No, that is.
So,
I mean, that's good to know. We assumed
right.
that.
Again, not a ton, but
speculated as such. But yeah, that is.
Yeah, more than I expected. Yeah.
Good to know there. And then there's been a couple questions about Maddie. Now, I didn't think Maddie necessarily played a bad game, but there's been quite a few comments here in the chat about Maddie kind of having a rough one in this one. What are your thoughts on Maddie Beniers tonight?
I mean, he's not part of the group of players that I would list as maybe responsible for the win or that really stepped up and were kind of a big part of things. I don't think he was a huge weakness either in this one. I don't know. I mean, you look at his line as a whole. I mean, I don't know what their ice time. Do you know like how much did they play?
He was second amongst forwards behind Chandler Stevenson.
Okay, because I mean, I did see him out there a lot, but there wasn't any kind of signature play like even in the Dallas game or in the Nashville game where he's kind of trying to go through guys and feels like there's confidence there. He didn't stand out to me in that way, and maybe he's not meant to every game. I don't know. I think he's still more than anything that defensive center. So I think it's just about setting expectations, you know?
That's basically what I said too. Because I talked about like the play he made on Michkov, and like I can think of good defensive plays from him in this one. I just think that he's not always going to be out there for all the offense, and especially right now you've got two lines that are producing offense. You don't need him to be, so he can contribute in other ways. Pablo pointed out that the Preds lost again, but the Preds and the Avs are 0-4. RJ, it's really crazy.
Early season NHL.
Yes. Last year's fastest 2 goals from Vyren RJ was 21 seconds. So
okay, so that is
the
the
8
fastest
seconds
too.
tonight is the fastest ever.
Thank you, Viren. Do appreciate that.
Yes, so that was cool. I talked a lot about RJ, just the way that the Bjorkstrand goal and that momentum swing, because it's after we get undisciplined play, right, from the Kraken, right? Yanni gets into it, Mountour comes in, gets that additional roughing minor, puts the Flyers on the power play, they score on the power play. Very similar to the last game we saw in this building, right, on opening day, but this time the Kraken able to respond in a positive way.
Exactly. And I think that's another test for them as far as how to respond to something like that. That goal, too, you can tell that was, I think I mentioned this earlier, that's the goal that Torts pointed out as kind of the turning point. He said, we had them. I felt like we really had them up until that point. And so you are able to score that goal. And it was the end of a long shift, too, where the Flyers had got the Kraken in their own end for a long time, and to be able to not just get it out of danger, but turn it into offense in a way that pivoted the game. That's really important. Brandon Mountour really highlighted that one. We heard from him after the game too. Talked about how great of a defensive play it was by Schwartz to get that puck and then send it up to Bjorkstrand as well. Like Schwartz was kind of the star of that play. But I think he felt especially grateful because he got the extra 2 in that whole thing and the power play, and Mountour was very happy it went that way.
Yes, I would understand that. Good comment here from Shay. I want to give a shout out to the whole Kraken org. Seattle's my number one, but I'm an Ohio girl. The Columbus community has been through so much lately, and the donation in honor of the Gaudreaus was amazing. I did think that was a pretty cool moment here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something above and beyond, right? The league kind of did their video tributes and everything like that. I know the Kraken did before the home opener, but having as your first hero of the game, the Gaudreau brothers, I think that's something kind of above and beyond that the Kraken did. And there's some Columbus connections here too. I know Allison Lucan spent time in Columbus. I know she talked with John Tortorella before the game. I know they have that familiarity there from Columbus as well. So it's just something that everybody that was around that organization, feels very strong.
Yes. Let's see here. B, I want to say my personal favorite was the Bjorkstrand goal, just because it was exactly what they needed to reset things. I agree with that. And Brooke agreeing the Bjorkstrand breakaway was sick. And the wave of relief from the Oliver goal made it my fave. So lots of good stuff there from everything. Jeff, just want to say the new Kraken Network broadcast team is 100% upgrade over Root. Great couple games scoring. I mean, everybody's had good things to say about everything, and apparently Linda Cohn killed it, as could have expected.
Yeah, not surprised in the least. It was cool just seeing her, having her around all day, whether it was morning skate or during the game, just seeing her around. It's kind of surreal. Like, oh, you're covering a Kraken game? All right.
Yes. Let's see. I'm pretty far back in chat. Sorry, I got to get better about like the in-person chat, everybody, and like kind of jumping through everything. So I'm just getting all the reactions to the giant steel beam behind me here now.
Oh, okay.
So sorry about that, everybody. Let's see. Lots of good stuff in here. What did you think of Grubauer in this one? Because that's another thing that we've talked about beforehand, RJ. Before you joined us, was kind of Grubauer.
Yeah, I think it was kind of more of the same from the first couple games. I thought he was okay, not great. And thankfully, it didn't really matter. Look, at this point, I've said this before, I've said it on previous post games. He's good for like one every game where he wants that back and you feel like he really should have it. Thankfully, he got the goal support. This is more goal support than he's gotten in a while. I think about a year, maybe over a year since he's gotten this much goal support. And thanks to that, it didn't really matter. And so, if the Kraken can keep scoring like this, it's okay. I think he still certainly has room for improvement. You never want to let him 4 in a game, but it was good enough.
Yeah. Gabrielle, I do wish our faceoffs were a little cleaner. We've had a few too many quick goals off of rough faceoffs. In this one, faceoff percentage for the Kraken, 45.6%. Again, I don't think we've been over 50% so far this season. It is something that they need to work on. We were closer earlier on, those first couple games, at being just a hair under 50%. It's been a little bit more, favorable to the opposing teams. That being said, RJ, I don't know the exact numbers on this, but it felt like the power play faceoffs were better tonight than what we saw last time.
That's what I was going to bring up, and that's what is paramount. The power play face, the special teams faceoffs too, because you look at that Drysdale goal, and that's a shorthanded faceoff that you lose, and it ends up in the back of your net very quickly. those are the high leverage faceoffs and the ones that really need more than the others. And I think the Kraken had some good on the power play. They had that one bad on the PK. I don't know if you could look it up quickly enough to find the answer on that one, but I would love to see better kind of face-off splits, because a face-off at center ice or in the neutral zone, or neutral zone, doesn't mean as much as some of those other ones that are in the offensive or defensive zone. Although I will say, you score 8 seconds off of a face-off at center ice, which is pretty rare. That was the other one that Tortorella pointed out too. He said he hated that turnover that just gave him that goal 8 seconds.
Yeah.
After the last one, he really didn't like that one.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at the face-off summary right now. Looks like the Flyers. Okay, the Kraken on the power play won 6 of 7 face-offs tonight.
That's very good.
That's what they needed to do, right? Like,
yep.
What you need to do. And then they were also 60% when shorthanded. They won 3 of 5. Yeah, so that's solid, right? Like if those are going to be the places that you are going to dominate on the dot, I'll take it. Right, I'll take 45% for the whole game, but I'll take a huge percentage there in the on special teams. So I'm liking that. Let's see, lots of people happy about the broadcasting stuff, being able to watch the games and everything. I'm just gonna go down to the bottom of the chat. If I skipped anything, everybody feel free to go back and throw it in here. Got a couple more super chats, RJ. First one here from Michael. Given the recent play, if they're able to move someone, is it Tanev or Gord? It seems like Tanev has been having more of an impact at the moment. I mean, I would maybe agree with that, RJ, but Yanni Gord has been no slouch either.
Right. I think they're both a big part of what that line does, and it's not really the same without either of them. I don't think you can just plug and play another, like a Hayden or a Myers, into that spot and have that line have the same character that it does right now. And so as a result, the more I think about it, I think they're just going to try and hang on with this 21-man roster as long as they possibly can, just to have as many games with this line. Maybe you start to think about an Ellie Tolvanen. Again, I like how he's been playing. It's nothing that he hasn't been doing. It's just what Gord and Tanev have been doing. And so it just complicates things further. But one thing that's clear to me is the Kraken have the best fourth line in the NHL right now. And that's something that they had a couple years ago that was very important to their success in the regular season and even in the playoffs. I feel like you can't just kill that for no reason, right? You have to look at ways to keep that together.
So I see your next super chat there, Dave, but I want to follow up with this comment from Shay, because this kind of goes with what we were just talking about, RJ. From Shay, with the Ebbs, Canner, Shane line, are we finally starting to see a true first line develop? Now, I had mentioned it earlier, RJ, the way this line played tonight, that, look, just that grouping, it's kind of your 3 best offensive pieces, right? Certainly your 3 most productive guys that go out there and play a certain way, and they really seem to gel together, not only with the chemistry, but also within the system and making the plays that Coach Dan has installed and wants them to be making out there. I see where Shane's coming from. I'm picking up on this. I think this could be the first time that we are seeing that first line for the Kraken that is going to be a line that, hey, you need a goal. These are the guys you start double shifting.
Yeah, the more I hear that, the more I kind of like the idea of it. I think they're capable of it. And it is 3 players that historically have not gotten a lot of ice time relative to a first line on another team, maybe. McCann, even as good as he is, 40-goal scorer Jared McCann, he's not averaging more than like 16 and a half minutes a game over the last couple seasons, right? He has room to grow ice time-wise. Shane Wright, of course, a rookie last year, he hasn't had big ice time over any kind of large amount of games. And then Jordan Eberle was kind of consistently more of a middle 6 type of guy. I wouldn't mind that line seeing some real serious ice time. I think they can all handle it.
Yeah, I don't know about the distribution of zone starts in this one, although we talked about it on the podcast a couple days ago that this line has been heavily started in the defensive zone, and yet they are still producing. But the ice time for the 3 of them tonight, Jared McCann, 16-19. Shane Wright, only 12-32 for Shane Wright in this one. And then Jordan Eberle,
minutes.
14-49. I am looking, that 12-32 puts him above Ellie Tolvanen and Ty Cartier, and that's it. That is kind of crazy. So if we're going to see the real true first line kind of develop there, the ice time's got to maybe pick up for them. But just the way they're producing, they are producing the way a first line would just because they're coming through each and every game, RJ, and they're scoring and they're generating something.
Yeah, and I think it's just real proof that Bilesma is handling this. He's rolling all 4 lines. Like, we thought we might see something different from the Hackstall ice time allotment. Not so far, but it's hard to blame him when all 4 lines are playing so well.
Right, and who knows if the situation's kind of reversed, right? And the Kraken need 2 goals with 13 minutes left. What that does to the ice time versus in this one, you need to kill some time, defend the lead. You're going to throw out a Maddie Benier, somebody like that. All right, so for the Dave super chat here, appreciate it, Dave. Boys and girls, the Kraken have been fighting for every inch of ice while fighting from behind and getting the lead and winning games. It's early, but damn, I'm so happy to see it. It has been so much fun to watch this team, RJ, and the way they were battling. I mean, I haven't even talked about that, but just it was physical tonight.
It was, and I don't know if you mentioned this point yet, because I mentioned it to you toward the end of the game, but I was saying I think this is the first game of the season that the Kraken have really imposed themselves physically, right? And they've hung with other teams in the physical battle. They've won position battles, they've won war battles, things like that. But what was the word that you used? I'm trying to remember. How did you phrase it? Where it was, I don't know, they were kind of the aggressors there physically. They were initiating contact. They were delivering some pretty big hits.
I don't remember the word I used, but it was the perfect word.
It was, and it eludes me.
yes. No, I mean, but that's the way they played. Like they were not. It wasn't that they were shying away from contact. Like they were really owning it and they were dictating it, just as they were dictating the pace of play. And it was one of those things where anytime, the Flyers maybe tried to keep it from being such a track meet, right? That style of game that the Kraken want to play. You lay out a big hit like that, you're taking a guy out of a play for a little while because he's got to get up off the ice, right? Like you're sending a message. You're getting the rest of your team going. You're getting the crowd involved, right? It's another way of keeping the feeling and the energy of the game kind of at a high and up there and buzzing and keeping that anxious feeling for the opponents, right? Like they're still going to be feeling that. And so, it wouldn't surprise me if we see them do a little bit more of that in certain situations on the forecheck, the way we did see them tonight.
Right. And by the way, I don't know if you talked about the Michkov hit yet, the Mountour hit on Michkov, because he did talk about it a little bit. He was asked, I think the question was, what was the bigger rush, the goal or the hit? And he kind of looked confused, like the hit. And I don't know, but I don't think that was really a big rush or anything. He's like, well, it was for the guy you hit. But yeah, he kind of really downplayed that hit. Said it wasn't really a big deal. But he also said it was kind of in passing almost in the answer, but he's like, he basically kind of skated right into it. So it seems like he didn't think too much of the hit or that it wasn't really anything special.
Yeah. And I mean, we kind of thought that, right? Like it was a big hit, but it was a legal check. And, that is the way it goes sometimes.
I got to find the exact words. It might have been he kind of threw himself into it almost. But yeah, it definitely kind of placed more of the onus on Michkov putting himself in that position.
Yeah. Let's see here. I feel like Maddie had a goal his rookie year in overtime, just like Shane's goal tonight, right off a middle ice faceoff. Nice to see that mirrored from Cole. I remember that. That was from season 2, that overtime winner against Washington. So cool.
Yeah. Was that like 9 seconds? It was less than 10.
It was very quick.
7.
Coop,
it was, yeah.
Yeah, Coop, I just don't believe these face-off stats. Must immediately lose the puck after some of those wins. Yeah, maybe a little bit.
They are suspect face-off stats.
Yes, okay. We must address this from Striatic here, okay? Linda Cohn had never heard the word yeet, and it was funny on the panel. We're going to have to watch that clip.
Yeah, definitely. Got to find that clip. That is really funny.
Is that a West Coast thing? I don't think so.
I don't know. I mean, of course, growing up in California, we heard that word plenty, but
a lot.
I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. I say it all the time. Me and my sister when we're checking stuff at each other. B, like Allison Lucan says, possession after the faceoff is what really matters, not just the win. And yes, I agree with that, and I think that sentiment is really important, especially when you're talking about the special teams draws. That is certainly like on the power play. You want to win the faceoff because you want to have that possession in the offensive zone. You don't want to have to go and kill 15, 20 seconds going and picking it up in your own zone. So good one there from B. Christian's got a better than here, RJ. Best fourth line, better than one superstar player, question mark?
Well, I mean, you look at a couple of years ago, that Kraken Colorado series, you could make an argument, I guess, but my answer is no.
Yeah. Byron, wonder what the I mean, yes, like ultimately it is no. Like it'll help sometimes, but I think over an 82 game sample size and certainly come playoff time, the answer is a big no.
Yeah.
Byron, wonder what the QOC looks like for Wright. It's a good question there, actually. I'll have to look that up after. Sean, okay, wait a second here. Talking about like save percentage, and one of the things I had talked about, RJ, was just that like you're going to have defensive issues at times, defensive breakdowns at times, and maybe even potentially worse save percentage just by playing this back and forth style that the Kraken seem to want to go for. Like there are going to be times where there's going to be a goal where the defense breaks down a little bit just because you were caught, maybe pinch it up a little bit, the offensive zone, or just, momentum's carrying you in the wrong direction when the puck suddenly starts going the other way. And that I think it's okay to acknowledge that those chances are going to happen for other teams. It's just as long as the Kraken are, scoring on their chances and generating more of the chances, then that's the equation that, odds are the coaching staff knows and is willing to take.
Right. And I think this system in similar, well, I guess it looks different than previously, but it also is not save percentage friendly. Like certainly through the 4 games, it's not save percentage friendly. And also when this type of game script too, when you get a big lead like this, the Flyers, I think, only had like 16 shots through, a couple periods. And so I remember looking at it, Grubauer only let in 2, but Flyers had 16 shots on goal because they hadn't got any, and they got the ball at once. So it's difficult for goalie to deal with numbers wise.
Yeah. Lots of comments here that eat is an internet/younger person thing. It's a Gen Z word. Yes, I know that. I think we might we'll just do like a couple quick ones here real quick. First one, super chat from Dave. I loved that hit. It was awesome. We needed more of those heavy hits to make our fans cheer. Appreciate the super chat there, Dave. Coop, Dylan, as a whiteboard guy, do you see any consistency with Borgen maybe struggling with rush defense when guys crisscross? Seems like he follows his guy too far versus switching, but I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and like look at those specific chances. I will say, as a whole, I feel like he is probably their worst rush defender in those spots. Like if he's going to be the one guy back, those have been when other teams look the most dangerous. So, as for the specifics, I mean, some of it is just, there's opportunities sometimes where he can step up and maybe try to go for an aggressive poke check and try to disrupt the sequence there. There are times where, yes, I do feel like one of the things I've noticed is that he will stick to a guy too long, and then he takes himself out of, say, the passing lane if it's a 2-on-1. Right? Because if you cheat over to one guy, that guy can then just like send it through your legs, something like that. And then the other player has a wide open look at your goaltender without you involved at all. It's better in some instances to be a little bit more aggressive, other instances to be a little bit more defensively sound. I feel like there are times where Borgen does neither, and then it kind of, you end up with a rough one. I think as a whole, he has gotten better. Just like everybody, he has improved. But I do still feel like he's probably the weakest at defending those situations on this team. Riker has been very hit or miss, but I feel like Riker has been kind of steadily improving, whereas Borgen still seems to be struggling with a lot of the same looks that, got burned on in preseason, RJ.
Yeah, I mostly agree with that. Evans, too, it doesn't help that I think, look, it's a high bar, but I think Evans is probably the second worst rush defender on the team as well.
Yeah.
And when the two of them are paired, it's about getting that communication where they know exactly what each are going to do, and we're early in the season.
Yes, definitely. And then Fusion Mix, when this team wins a cup someday, they're going to do it with a Darcy Kemper style 902 save percentage. That's right, but it doesn't matter because you'll have that ring.
Yep. They don't ask what the save percentage is.
Just ask how many cups you won. All right, everybody. I think that's going to do it for this one. Thanks, everybody, so much for joining us. Huge Kraken win here, RJ. Really excited about it. And what a great way to kick off this homestand.
Yeah, great to get the first home win. And the best part about it is we get to come back here in a couple days, and then again a couple days later, it's a proper homestand, not just one game.
Yeah. Okay. Real quick. According to Zoe, no belt. It seems just a game puck.
Oh. Did the backlash get?
I don't know. That's Byron wonders the same thing. If that's if we didn't get it because of all the backlash on Twitter, I don't know.
All right, Dylan, we got to be journalists. We got to do investigative reporting.
I know we're gonna have to. We'll see if there's something tomorrow. I haven't checked my email to see if there's practice or not. Gonna end it with this because Dave just came through with another super chat. Here's some money for Afra and Fuji treats after this wonderful win. Really appreciate that, Dave, and I know that they thank you as well.
Yes, thank you so much. Fuji loves those treats, so thank you, Dave.
All right, thanks everybody for joining us, and we will see you all next time.